Good afternoon. I'm Robert Rosenkrantz, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. Also present are County Commissioners John Gentle and Brian Smiley. As noted on the agenda, we will be conducting a public hearing to consider the adoption of rural land use policies number 2 and number 3 as part of the county's comprehensive plan update. After public comment has been heard and considered by the board will then determine whether to affirm the adoption of Resolution R-2023-08 and the adopted rural land use policies number 2 and 3, or to consider whether it will make changes to rural land use policies number 2 and 3. Before we start, I would like to provide an overview of the process and the expectations for this meeting. First, the board will be implementing certain rules regarding public testimony at the hearing. Those rules are as follows. Public input will only be heard one individual at a time. Each speaker will be given one opportunity to provide input. Please speak into the microphone so you can be heard by the board and others. We ask that all speakers give their name and addresses before providing testimony. Comments should be relevant to the proposed rural land use policies being considered by the board this afternoon. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If there are a large number of speakers, including many who are part of groups or organizations, we ask for a representative to speak on behalf of the organization or group. Please be courteous and don't engage in unruly behavior. Does everyone present and online understand these rules? If not, please speak up or raise your hand. Having established those rules, the board will now consider the matters on the agenda today. The matter being considered by the board today is whether to affirm its amendment to Oreille County Rural Land Use Policies number 2 and number 3 as part of the county's amendments to its comprehensive plan. Before we consider these matters, the board will provide a brief explanation of the circumstances leading to this hearing. On January 17th, 2023, the Planning Commission unanimously forwarded a recommendation of approval of the county's proposed comprehensive plan to the Board of Commissioners. The board unanimously accepted the Planning Commission's recommendation at its regularly scheduled hearing on February 6, 2023. That comprehensive plan was adopted as Resolution 2023-08. RG New filed an appeal of Resolution 2023-08. The appeal was heard by the Growth Management Hearings Board, and the Hearings Board affirmed the county's actions on 39 of the 40 issues raised by RG New. The board remanded one issue relative to the adequacy of the public process to the county. In response to the decision, the county initiated a public process by posting notice of its intent to conduct a public hearing to address the matters identified by the Growth Management Hearings Board. Notice of this public hearing was posted at Community Development and on their website and was published in the Newport Miner on January 3rd, 2024 and January 10th, 2024. Accordingly, the purpose of today's public hearing is to obtain and consider public input on those 2 rural land use policies before the board makes a final determination on affirming the adoption of rural land use policy number 2 and number 3. The Board of County Commissioners may elect to forward matters raised during this public hearing for consideration at a subsequent comprehensive plan update process for the county. The county will consider the comments received today at its open public meeting scheduled on January 23rd, 2024.
Good afternoon. It is January 22nd, 2024. It is 1:34 p.m. This was the notice of the public hearing published in the Newport Miner on January 3rd and January 10th, 2024. Notice is hereby given that the Oreille County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for the 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update on January 22nd, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in the Commissioners Meeting Room at 625 West 4th Street, Newport, Washington, for the purpose of complying with the final decision and order of the Growth Management Hearings Board dated October 16th, 2023, in the matter of responsible growth, Northeast Washington et al. Versus Padre County, case number 23-1-0005. Written comments may be sent to greatsnow@padre.org or mailed to P.O. Box 5066, Newport, Washington, 99156, on or before the commencement of the public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg Snow, Community Development Director, for the record. I'll start out with my staff report. It might bore you a little bit, but I'd like it to be read into the record if I may. Excuse me. This is the subject of today's hearing is the updated comprehensive plan to satisfy requirements of the Growth Management Hearings Board decision dated October 16th, 2023. Staff recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners is to approve the amended resolution regarding compliance. County seeks to satisfy its obligation to the Growth Management Hearings Board and RCW 3670A35-2A as a result of the appeal by Responsible Growth Northeast Washington and Spokane Riverkeeper. The decision from the GMHB, or the Hearings Board, dated October 16th, 23, remanded Resolution 2023-08 for compliance with the Growth Management Act. The county conducted workshops to review and discuss each chapter of the proposed comprehensive plan beginning on June 11th of 2019. They were resumed in July, August, October, November, December of 2019. They continued in 2020 with additional workshops that were held in January and February, and due to COVID, not again until December of 2020. The workshops continued into 21 in January, February, and April. All of the meetings were appropriately advertised, and the public was provided with an opportunity to comment at each of the public meetings. A notice of the public hearing for the amendments to the comprehensive plan regulations and development regulations was placed in the Newport Miner, the paper of record, April 21st, 2021, and April 28th of 21. The Associated Non-Project Action SEPA was advertised in the Newport Miner on April 21st, 21, and April 28th, 21, and submitted to the SEPA register on April 23rd of 21. The SEPA determination of non-significance was appealed by RG New, and a public hearing was held in front of the county hearing examiner on December 2nd of 21. On January 25th of 22, the hearing examiner affirmed the appeal and directed the following. Oreille County should identify and recognize what development would be allowed in the various zone designations under the comprehensive plan update and regulation amendments. Consider the applicable codes and regulations that control development of those areas and what mitigation measures those codes and regulations require in the protection of the environment. And then evaluate as much as possible the probability that the development will occur and what environmental impacts are expected to occur in light of that evaluation. A revised SEPA checklist was prepared and routed to the SEPA register on July 25th of 22, with all areas directed by the hearing examiner being addressed. Again, the SEPA determination of non-significance was appealed to the county hearing examiner on October 13th of 22. At that time, the hearing examiner denied the appeal on November 22nd, 22, and the file was moved forward to the Planning Commission after expiration of that appeal period. A notice of public hearing for a public hearing before the Planning Commission on January 17th, 23 was placed in the Newport Miner paper of records on December 28th, 22 and January 4th, 23. On January 17th of 23, the Planning Commission reviewed certain revisions to the Comprehensive Plan and Development Regulations based upon the public comments to date and the input at the public hearing. The Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation of approval to the Board of Commissioners with the revisions. At a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners on February 6th of 23, the Board accepted the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approved the Comprehensive Plan Update with Resolution R 2023-08. Resolution R 2023-08 was appealed by RG New and the Spokane Riverkeepers to the Growth Management Hearings Board. On August 30th, 2023, a hearing on the merits was held in front of the hearings board. On October 16th, 2023, a decision from the hearings board was issued and remanded land use policies number 2 and number 3 in section 2.4.2 rural land use policies within the revised comprehensive plan for a public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. A notice of public hearing for this hearing was advertised in the paper on January 3rd, 24 and January 10th of 24. The public hearing is for the purpose of providing the public with an opportunity to comment on the amendments to land use policy number 2 and number 3 as adopted by the Planning Commission on January 17th, 2023. County has also accepted written comments regarding land use policy number 2 and land use policy number 3. The commissioners will have the opportunity to deliberate regarding the comments that they receive regarding the 2 land use policies at a future public meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. The commissioners will further determine whether to adopt a resolution regarding their compliance with the decision of the hearings board. The commissioners may affirm their adoption of these policies and may, if so elected, forward comments received during this public hearing to community development for future considerations. The applicable codes in this case were the final decision and order, case number 23-1-0005, dated October 16th, 2023, and RCW 3678-35-2A, comprehensive plans, review procedures and schedules amendments. And with that, we received one comment letter. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to review it yet. It was, it's in your share folder. It was more based on a process as opposed to anything of content within these 2 paragraphs, if you will, in question land use policies 2 and policy 3. Also in the comment matrix that you should have also, this deals with item or comment number 22. Tim Trohimovich from FutureWise. The 2 comments that were updated under the rural land use policy 2.4.2, number 2 and number 3, are a direct response to comments received from FutureWise. And so if you want to look through this, you'll see over on this larger column, this was their actual comment verbatim, and then in the other far column was our response to those comments. And what you'll find, this carries over onto the next page. This is page 7 and 8 of the comment matrix. And so what you're going to find, though, is on page 10 of the comprehensive plan under 2.4.2 rural land use policies are exactly those 2 comments verbatim from what is on this here. I don't really have much more than that to share with you. It seems pretty straightforward with regard to those 2 items. I mean, it's a 121-page document. There were 40 complaints, 39 of them were disavowed. So these 2 are what we are left to deal with. And you can see precisely where they came from and what they ended up. So at this time, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
No questions. I have no questions, John.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, neither do I.
All right, with that, we will turn it over for public comment, and I'm going to take them on the order they appear in front of me. So first to the Selkirk Sun. Selkirk Sun, would you like to make any comments?
Okay, I couldn't hear who you were addressing on that to open it up.
Sorry, I was addressing the Selkirk Sun to see if they had any public comments. Apparently not. So raise your hand. All right, next on our list, Savannah Widger. Savannah, would you like to make any public comments? All right, we'll move along. Dennis Gallagher. Dennis, would you like to provide any comments for us today?
Can't tell who he's asking. Who were you asking? It's kind of, the sound isn't too good here.
I was asking Dennis Gallagher.
Okay, much clearer.
All right, I will speak to that, my comment. We will now go to the Ponderay Political Circus. Would you like to comment? All right, we're next going to Phyllis Cardos. Phyllis, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm representing Responsible Growth, Northeast Washington. I did submit a letter. As noted in the public notice, you could submit letters. I don't know if you've seen that yet. And pretty much have stated in that letter some of my concerns or thoughts. And what I didn't put in there is, and when you're looking at that matrix that Greg showed you, there are no dates on that matrix. And that was, and so when some of these comments, I mean, there's a date at the top that kept changing as they upgraded the matrix. FutureWise's comments and suggestions, recommendations to the comp plan were made. They were one of the last ones made on that matrix, and it was made at a very late date. And the planning board did not see that letter until we sent that letter to them. And so they came in late. But what occurred, and this is where the public period should have come in on this, is the comp plan was adopted without that being added, without that number 22 being added, the FutureWise comment. Responsible Growth would have been really pleased to have added and be heard at a public comment period about those FutureWise comments. And we were not, and that's what this whole thing was about. Transparency, communication. It's what the Ponderay County Board has been talking about the last several weeks. It's transparency, public involvement. We just felt that we didn't get an opportunity to comment on the FutureWise comments. We may have totally approved of those comments, obviously. And there were more that FutureWise presented that we may have also encouraged the Planning Commission to put into the comp plan. So we really did want an opportunity to speak to those comments, and we were denied that. And the GM board agreed with us that we were denied that opportunity. And so basically, if you just read our letter, I'm not sure what this hearing is about, to tell you the truth, because I don't see how it's being rectified. How are we going to make sure, how is the county going to make sure that the public is provided every opportunity to be heard on these? That's what it's all about, is letting the public be heard. So I would like to just restate my last paragraph on that in my letter, RG newsletter. We would like to add that public participation is essential for a healthy community and democracy. It permits citizens to interject their values, whether it's the environment, jobs, economic growth, or etc., into the overall theme. Allowing public participation to the fullest creates a circle of trust, confidence in what our local government is doing, and it builds rather than breaks down community. It allows those who may never be heard a voice, the platform to speak. That's generally our only opportunity to speak, is at these public hearings, other than a short 1 or 2 minutes somewhere. And when we're denied that, we certainly have an obligation to point that out. And to, because I really think that right now, today, the Board of Commissioners is really trying hard to make sure the transparency is there. It's not always been the case. And whether something like this is done intentionally or not intentionally, it still is a violation of the public's right to know and the public's right to speak. And with that said, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Phyllis. now to Anne. Anne, please feel free to comment.
No comment at this time, thank you.
All right, thank you, Anne. Sean Grunning, would you like to comment? All right, he's a no. Kelly Driver, would you like to comment?
No, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone online or in the room who has not had a chance to comment that would like to speak? Don't want to miss anybody. Thank you, everyone, for your input. The board will conclude this public hearing at this time, and will consider the information from today's public hearing at the regularly scheduled open public meeting set for January 23rd, 2024. Crystal, what time is that going to occur?
Board could do that at 11:30 a.m.
Tomorrow, January 23rd, 2024 at 11:30 a.m.